Hello everyone and welcome back to Basic Redstone, and in this episode we'll be talking about this component here, the Redstone comparator. Now the Redstone comparator is a really useful Redstone component. Now it has two main uses. I'm going to talk about the first use, which is by far the most useful, and that is that it can take a redstone signal out of lots of different items and blocks. So for each of these tests I've got a comparator here and a line of redstone wire on top of some redstone lamps, so you can see if there's a redstone signal and how strong it is. And for this first one I've got a chest and a comparator sticking out the end of it. Now if I put, let's say, a stack of stone in this chest, I get a redstone output from that. And if I put more items in, I get a stronger redstone signal. Now, this will work with any type of chest, double chests, barrels, shulker boxes, you name it. The same effect will apply. So you can each take a comparator output from the back of them. And this will also work through a block. So if I place a block and then a comparator, I still get a signal like that. This also works with furnaces. So let's say I'm smelting up some cobblestone. I could take a comparator output from that. And this will apply to blast furnaces as well as smokers. I've got a dispenser here, exactly the same thing. If I put this with items, I get a redstone output. This will work with droppers as well. A jukebox, let's say I put a music disc in a jukebox. I'm playing some nice music. I get a redstone comparator output from that. I take the CD out, and then the signal drops off. Even things like cake. So if I place a cake block here, I actually get a comparator output out from it, which is pretty cool. And what's even more cool is if I eat it, the signal actually gets weaker. You can tell the redstone wire is getting darker there, and some of those torches start to turn off. Now here we have a cauldron. Now if I fill up this cauldron with water, I get a comparator output from it. And I can actually change the signal strength of this as well. If I empty the cauldron with bottles, then I get a weaker signal like that. Composters as well, you can get a comparator output from those. If I fill them up with any type of food, there's my output. Now these last two are even more useful because you can very easily change the redstone signal strength. The first one is an item frame. Now if you put an item in an item frame, could be any item, I'm going to use a redstone torch because it looks like a dial, you will get a signal out of it if you use a comparator. But if I right click it, it will rotate in the item frame, and the redstone signal strength actually increases one at a time, which is very useful. Lecterns are similar, only instead of placing an item in them, you need to place a written book in them. So I've made a book here. It's not exactly going to win any prizes. This is just the contents. But if I place it on the lectern here, I get a redstone signal from the back of it. But what's really cool is if I flip the pages of the book, I can change the signal strength. So depending on which page the book is on, you get a different redstone signal. Now for the second use of a comparator is what the name implies. So it compares redstone signals. So there's two places you can put a redstone signal into a comparator. You could put one signal going in from the bottom, like this one here, and you could have up to two redstone signals going into the side, like I have here. I could also have another one going into this side if I really wanted to. Now, to illustrate how this works, I've got two item frames with comparator setups here. And remember, if I turn the item, then I can change the signal strength. Now, what a comparator essentially does is it compares the signal. It takes the signal coming in from the bottom, and if the signal coming in from the side is weaker, then you get an output. But if the signal coming from the side is stronger, then it shuts it off. So let's say I've got a signal strength of 2 coming into this comparator, and we get a redstone output because this signal is too weak, it's only at 1. If I increase it to 2, still get an output, but as soon as I extend it to 3, the redstone lamps turn off, just like that. Let me show you again. Signal strength of 1, 2, and 3 is too strong, so it shuts it off. Now there's actually another mode that you could use a comparator for. A little bit niche this, you probably won't use it that often, but here it is in case you need it. If you right click it, this comparator is now in subtract mode. So what subtract mode is going to do is it's going to take the signal strength coming in from the bottom and it's going to take away the signal strength coming in from the side. So right now, for example, we have a signal strength of 1 take away 1, which is 0, so that's why we don't get an output. But let's say I increase the signal strength coming in from the bottom here to 2. It's 2 take away 1, then I get a signal strength of 1 output. And let's just try one more time. Let's say I have a signal strength of 5 and a signal strength of 3 coming in the side. 5 take away 3 is 2. So the last thing we have to talk about is how a comparator works and how the signal you get out of it compares to the signal that you put into it. And we're going to compare this with a redstone repeater. So we've got a little circuit here so that we could choose a redstone signal. Now, how a comparator works is it takes the signal that you give it and it gives out exactly the same signal strength. So right now we have got a signal strength of 1 going into the comparator, and we've got a signal strength of 1 coming out of it. If I have a signal strength of 2 going into the comparator, I get a signal strength of 2 going out of it, and so on and so forth. So a comparator basically just gives you the same signal that you put in. If we compare this to a redstone repeater, which we talked about last episode, as soon as it receives any signal, doesn't matter how weak or strong, it will boost the signal strength back up to the maximum, which is 15. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please like if you enjoyed or if you found this useful, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.